That's my kind of question for you. Is you say I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Put them in my. I know what you're going to say, and I've got the answer.
okay, good. The recruits don't really react to wins and losses as much as fans do, and they don't really take into account, the product on the field without them there, or they're not necessarily swayed by the environment. I feel like that wasn't the case Saturday.
I think the environment. That's not part of my thought. My
Okay.
thought is that they're not committing to you off a win or a loss.
Right.
And I usually say that after losses, but it holds true after a win, in my opinion. They got some commitments that were already expected. Kyrie Lee on Saturday after the game, Dylan Carpenter on Sunday. Those guys would have committed win or lose. But I said this, and I feel like it's true going when it went into overtime and they kneeled it out. I looked at Matty B, my coworker at On 3, the Bengal Tiger, and I said, no matter what happens now, the recruits saw an amazing atmosphere. And they saw a team that battled with Alabama till the end. In my mind, a recruit like a Desmond Ricks, a Javian Tobiano, if Mason Taylor drops that 2-point conversion, or they I'm not really that into LSU after what they just witnessed for 4 hours.
No, I think you still walk away saying that was an incredible experience, but at the end of the
helps.
Yeah, at the end of the night, you want to get that pop where you're like, that
No
was
doubt.
totally worth it. Like, I'm so glad it ended this way. Like,
And
you could dance
that's
with your
the
date all
environment.
night long, but can
it's
you take
not
her
that
home?
you won; it's what the environment of the win.
Right, and the environment was.
And the environment is what you sell Tiger Stadium on.
Absolutely,
They got that.
and you probably won't. I mean, that was probably your best chance to make that impression with UAB, the only home game left on the
True.
schedule. They
You're
probably
not-
rolled
yeah.
out the red carpet for everybody for the Alabama weekend, I would imagine.
No doubt. So, yeah, it made a great impression. Every recruit I talked to said it was the best game environment they'd ever seen, which is true.
Which is true, yeah.
And that was including a kid who was at Tennessee Bama this year.
Oh, wow. I think, because that would be, I guess that would have been the game of the year so far in terms of environment. Like Tennessee they've been waiting for that since '98.
Mm-hmm.
They've been building that thing up just like LSU has. It feels like it's been since '98, but LSU has been, hasn't won at home since 2010. You're able to pull that off in Brian Kelly's first year. You could feel the culture changing. You could feel, because there's so many times when LSU has played Alabama where the recruits look on the other end, it's like, oh, I like the way that Nick Saban's coaching this.
Yeah, I mean, because they've won so many of the times.
Right.
I would say, too, that the benefit you get out of this win, like I said, had the game been played into overtime and you lost, I wouldn't feel all that different in terms of just the statement made about where LSU's headed. Now, the environment obviously got to be capped off with the win at the very end, so you got to see the celebration in that regard. But also it opens the door for LSU to get to Atlanta. And playing for an SEC championship, that's what Brian Kelly and them are selling, right? Like graduate champions, competing for SEC championships, competing for national championships. If they do that in year one, that's a major pitch to recruits. That matters.
Especially
Every game and loss doesn't matter. Florida State wasn't the end of the world. Tennessee wasn't the end of the world. But if you can get to the SEC year one, then you're selling more than just, hey, guys, we're building towards something. It's, hey, look, we did this right away.
We did this with not anybody that I had necessarily recruited. Like, I had to go through the transfer portal,
Everybody on the teams knew. You're starting.
Right. And I guess he did.
Four of your best players in that game are true freshmen.
True freshmen, that's what I was about to backtrack
Quarterback
a
and
little bit.
everybody else, Converse who makes the pick, or transfers. I mean, this is a hodgepodge of a team that went together and is playing pretty good ball.
That's it, and that's a tough thing for Brian Kelly to take over and then make competitive year one. And now not even make competitive, but now your whole future's in front of you if you want it. Like, they have nothing but opportunity, which leads to LSU being on TV more.
Yeah, talked about more on...
The brand starts growing. It's been on TV all week so far. Like, every time you put it on SEC Network or anything, ESPNU, whatever, LSU is being talked about and that game is being talked about. So the more it's kind of like in your brain, it's like Pavlov's theory. The more you see LSU and the more you agree with what it is, every time you see it, you feel like you feel good.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
It's well said. You thought it out well, Lloyd.
I did. I didn't think it all before I started speaking.
I'm sure I could go through, but yeah, all the recruits we talked to had a blast.